CStar presents. My name is Ebenezer. I'm here with Tyler and Nico. This episode is just gonna be us. We hit our 20th milestone. By the way, shout out to Tez, aka Pluto. Uh,
Happy birthday.
how old is he now? 21.
21.
Bro, we're all becoming
Whoa.
grown ass men.
Yeah. So, 20th episode of the podcast. Tez turns 21. This is the 21st podcast. Yeah, so we're making things happen. We got a lot of things in the works, things that we can't disclose right now, but just know that big things are on the way. So let me start off by asking Nico and Tyler, how are you? How have you been? How do you feel?
I'll let Tyler go first.
I feel really good. I think 2021 is a pretty good year so far. Especially for me. I feel like, personally, with the company, artistically, this has been the best year we've had in a long time. Like it just person wise, I feel pretty good. Like, I feel like we're definitely getting stuff done. I feel, the best I've felt in a while about, just everything, myself, the brand. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to keep going. I don't know. I feel honestly like this is the first time in a while where like I'm actually like motivated to like, let's keep cranking shit out. Let's keep doing it. Let's keep going. Because this is the first time in a while where I'm just like, you know what? I feel pretty confident that everything we're doing isn't pointless. I'm not to say, not to say that stuff we were doing before is pointless, but it's I don't any pessimistic like attitude I had before is pretty much, starting to fade away. So yeah, overall pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like COVID was definitely the COVID break that we're currently still in. It's not like it's anywhere close to over, but I feel we definitely upped it a lot. I feel like it gave us a chance to be around each other more and therefore get more shit done. Um, but then like just personally, I'm kind of like mad about all that just because like academically it kind of sucks for me at least. It's just not the same. I feel like this is the worst like semester of school I've ever had. I mean, like my grades are pretty good. Actually, like one of my better graded semesters, but it's just like just so boring. I mean, and like that's not even just COVID's fault. I feel like my classes just kind of suck. And I feel like it's kind of just like drudging on through like online classes, just shit. So, but
Yeah, it's definitely not what any of us signed for, but we're trying to like make the best out of what we were dealt. I'm trying to see if there's like anything we can talk about that isn't like
top secret.
top secret. Exactly.
I mean, we legitimized our business.
Yeah.
At the first month of this year, the second month of this year, we lost a close friend, and then the third month of this year, we're getting our like finances and legal stuff on the way. So, I mean, death is beautiful, so I think we can see the beauty in that, and I feel like that. I feel like with the passing of Lord Duck, like it also kind of like closed the chapter in our book and allowed us to open a new one.
Hmm.
I think that's a pretty big theme of our year so far is us, like breaking away from our old mold. I think that's a statement or kind of a theme that is pretty apparent with what we're trying to do now, and it's something that I also like, kind of strive for is where we're trying to break away from. I mean, are you talking about the passing of stuff? I mean, like Lord Duck. This was her final year with us. Sadly, and that was a pretty big staple for us. Back in our high school days, Lord Duck was our mascot. And then we also, who knows? But for now, we retired the Essentials T-shirt as well. So that's another big step for us is trying to stop being so stagnant and what we do actually progress forward. Not
Mm-hmm.
just put out more of the same stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty groundbreaking year for us. We're actually taking some steps forward and trying to become better versions of ourselves.
We
I
can
think.
definitely see the maturity.
Yeah. I was telling Sam this in the car a couple of days ago is that while progress is like super important and is the key, we also gotta kind of keep the roots of it intact, right? Don't like rip the tree out of it like the ground.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
some metaphor there that I kind of lost, but basically what I'm trying to say is that like I would like for us to like stay like close to our roots and like kind of hone in on that like heritage and like the like idea of the root, right? Like having the solid foundation where like not only us but communities can build off of. That's what I was telling Sam about, and I can't say I gotta stop there because I have something I'll tell you guys later.
I was just thinking last night because I knew we were gonna do the podcast just us today. I
Mhm.
was just thinking about how like the podcasts that were just us in high school, like everybody just wanted to listen to for like gossip and like how like we were kind of like the talk of the high school at that point, and now like you look after that, and like because when you're in high school, every high school is like the whole world. So like that's everything. So like everybody wanted to hear what we were talking about. And now like we're in the new world. Like now the world is just the world. It's not just your high school.
And also just to make sure that like we're not lying about that. Like right now we struggle to get like 90 views. We got like 500 views in like the first like week of that podcast being out. And it's not like the YouTube algorithm, or how you say algorithm, is like when you make like one of your like couple of your first videos, like they tend to get more views. Like that wasn't our first video. We had a couple of videos out at that point. Actually, I don't know. I think we had at least one. So yeah, we had the wing video out, and then that one did good. And then we posted 2 podcasts, and both of them got like 500 views. So I mean, it was pretty impressive, like the amount of traction that podcast had gained.
How many people went to Lansdowne?
Like 12.
Uh, yeah, I don't know, but like, yeah, I mean, but that's still a good amount. I mean, I guess some people might have watched it more than once. Like you can't really say that it's like 1 views per every head, but
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
like that's
Not
still
like
pretty.
that wasn't even really what I was getting at. I'm just saying it's like we kind of shifted now. Like
Yeah.
we had to restart. It's like we couldn't hold on to everything from there because like
Mhm.
now we're in a bigger fish tank. So
Yeah.
it's not like we're just competing. Like back then, like everybody's like not like competing, but like popularity and like social like wealth. You know what I mean? And now like we're in a way bigger fish tank because we're just in the world. Or I guess like we're kind of just like in Baltimore, but like we still have to like climb back up. And I was also just thinking right before this about how like I feel everybody who at least I kind of like look up to and like who I like kind of look to for inspiration in this area is like reachable. Like I don't feel like anyone's out of touch, like, or like it's too far away for me to like get in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely didn't feel like that last year. Like last year, I definitely didn't feel like I still felt like I was on the outside looking in, or like we were on the outside looking in. But like this year, I feel like I could hit anybody up and make a connection. And I
That's
feel like
fine.
that's one, just like maturity within like ourselves, and also like two, just we kind of I've had like one of the people we went to high school with kind of just earlier just tell me like earlier this year tell me like, oh, yeah, you guys really stick with it. Like most people just kind of like let stuff fall apart. So I feel like we kind of just proved it to ourselves and other people, and yeah, I don't feel like anything's like unobtainable at this point.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also a test to our how motivated we've been. I mean, like, listen, I mean, we definitely could have put more work in at some points in our career, but I mean, I think it's also kind of good for people around to see like you don't just kind of give up. I mean, there's a couple times where I mean, we've been stagnant, we've been whatever. Like I think 2018 or something like that. Like, because I mean, like what also people like I understand is like we try to do so much, and it's just like a lot of times I feel like we're kind of in over our heads sometimes, but that just kind of comes with the process,
Mm-hmm.
because we started off with the clothes, now we drifted into the music. Now we have other ventures and other projects. I mean, we do podcasts. We've done podcasts literally. It's like in our DNA at this point. So I mean, we've been doing podcasts for like years now. At this point, it's the most reoccurring and the most frequent with the podcast. But you know, it's just doing all that stuff. I actually don't know where the fuck I was going with that. So I'm gonna let somebody else speak. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, I mean, yeah. So essentially, just staying motivated and keeping with it. There we go. I'm back. But yeah, staying motivated and staying with it. I think it just shows, after a while, like even if it's stagnant at some points, you can still slowly progress. I mean, like we just
Mm-hmm.
now have become an LLC and we're in year almost 4. We started 2017 to 2021. So I mean,
Yeah.
that just shows. I mean, most people, would get that first, and then it would kind of dwindle off. We're in year 4, and that's when we're I feel like this is one of our first, more legitimate years. So I mean, it just shows, just to stick with it, just kind of keep it going. Don't just give up at all. And I mean, it's not even like we like made it or anything. It's not like I'm saying like we've hit that peak where we can kind of talk down to people. I'm just saying it at no point should you stop trying to progress forward. Like you should always strive to get a little bit better. Ramp it up a little bit each year.
All right, let me ask you this: 10 years, where do you see Charmer Way and all the subsidiaries?
Who's going first?
I'll go. I'll go. I mean, like I think that's really hard to say because I mean, I don't really even know. I think I've talked about this before. I don't since high school ended. I don't know how to look more than like a year ahead because I feel everything is just so different. And like that's kind of a cop out, but
You
at the
can
same
be
time,
you can be as vague as you want with that answer. Just like
okay. Then I would say probably. I mean, to be honest, I don't see myself doing a. I used to say this a lot, so this is gonna be kind of shocking, but I used to say, oh yeah, we're always gonna do podcasts, but like to be honest, in 10 years, I don't see myself doing the podcast.
mm-hmm.
Like I think Abnezer, you said like you don't see like us being on the podcast within a few years. Like you want
Yeah.
other people to take over, and I mean like we could be doing a podcast, but like I don't know. I just feel like I want to be like bigger than a podcast within 10 years. I feel like at least my career projections for myself, like I'm not going to be having time to do a podcast. I don't feel like we're going to be having time to do a podcast because I mean in 10 years we're going to be 31. We're gonna be in our early 30s in 10 years. So for one, I mean we were talking about this yesterday. I definitely plan on having a family by then. And then like I feel like also if everything else progresses properly, then we're gonna be running multiple businesses. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like I just I don't know. I definitely don't see the podcast still. I think there will be a podcast. I don't feel it's gonna be the same as it is. You know what I mean? Because I feel like at that point, if we're not successful enough to the point where people are asking us to be on their podcast, then well, we like now we're doing something wrong, but maybe we did something wrong. And like that's kind of like that may be kind of like a fool myself answer, but at the same time, like that's kind of confidence I have in us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the exact same way. 31. Hopefully, I'll have a kid by then. So I mean, that's gonna definitely impact us. But I mean, it's not even just like at 10 years. What do I see us doing? Like, I mean, I'm kind of saying we're like, I can't see us like there. I would hope within that 10-year span, a lot of stuff gets done. I mean, like I said, there's stuff we can't talk about. But there's we have a couple projects in the work that I feel like within the next 3 to 4 years that could actually get pretty big. I mean, and everything we work on now, at any point we could, go big. So I mean, in 10 years, hopefully at that point, you kind of, throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, bro. Hopefully we'll, at that point have something stick, so
Mm-hmm.
that we'll be known for, and we'll be doing full time, or we'll dedicate or allocate most of our time to that. So I mean, yeah, in 10
You
years.
also gotta think like our podcast right now is us being young, not knowing like much, and trying to like talk to people who already have the sauce and get there and like help them share their recipe with everybody and including ourselves. So
Yeah.
at 31, I don't feel like I should be like. I mean, you're always learning, but like I don't feel like I'm gonna need to like go out of my way to like get knowledge from people at that point. You know what I mean? Like we should pretty much be developed ourselves and have our own type of.
Well, you'll keep learning for the rest of your life,
I
but
think at,
Yeah, but like I don't feel like not in the form of like I need to like reach out and interview these people and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like
yeah.
at that point, if we do a podcast or we're doing a show in 10 years, I think at that point
It's just be us.
yeah, it would be us, or it would be transitioning into just talking to our peers, or people that are at kind of our level at the time, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
talking and discussing. Kind of like when like LeBron does like the shop and stuff like that, where he's just talking to other people in different industries, like people who are the pinnacle of their sport, or people who are the pinnacle of their art. So something like that, where it's we're talking to people just to kind of
We're just gonna be vibing out with other successful heads.
yeah, essentially, yeah, basically.
And my answer to that question, 10 years, um, it's really the big thing is like sustainability. Like I want a lot of what we do to kind of like be able to sustain itself, whether that is like financially or like with the content production. Um, just and that could mean like automation, but also like we want to stay true to like the legacy and really Nico, that podcast you sent me with the Ronnie Feig, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
All right. That podcast where he was talking about like it's not about like how much I might be misquoting him. It's not about like the money that he's making at that point or like it's really about
About creating
like
for his kids. Yeah.
creating a brand for his kids and not necessarily like my kids or your kids, but for Baltimore, right? Creating like sustainable platforms for Baltimore.
I mean, I
That's
think we
cool.
already. I mean, like that's definitely not to cut you off, but I think that's definitely 100% a goal. I mean, but I think we kind of already do it now. You know, like we all have like little brothers. We all have people around us that we're so like inviting in to try to get everybody on board. You know,
Mhm.
like nothing we do is just for us. You know, like actually everything we do is for other people. You know, it's like we do the podcast to have people on. You know, to try to gain. You know, to try to have their audience. 'Cause I mean, like we're giving them a platform to talk. You know, and not everybody does interviews. It's not like a common thing for people to do interviews.
Yeah.
So any of their fans can tune in for them, like the clothing we do to you know for style, give people the CStar drip, and then everything else we do, like the gaming and stuff. Like I mean, we literally try to we'll keep down the download, but I mean all the other stuff we do, I mean it's just to get everybody involved. I mean, like even like the music, like I mean at one point, like our friend Tez, like all he did was like collab projects, and all he was doing was stuff with other people. So it's just because like
Mhm.
that's what we want to do. We want to work with other people. It's not just a selfish thing. Like most of our stuff, is to most of the stuff we do is to aim to at Baltimore for 100% sure to be involved in the community and create a platform for everybody. So I mean, it's kind of cool. I mean, he said that, but like we're also kind of on that wave right now.
Yeah.
We're not even that far into it.
It's really about just taking it to like the next level, I guess. It's and I mean, you guys got any questions to throw up?
I just want to kind of know, like I feel like we should try and kind of give like a people kind of an insight. Like how do you guys view our process? Like how do you guys view what we do? Because I when I think about that, I just view us as all over the place.
Hmm.
And I feel like we want to talk about sustainability. I feel like what we do right now is just completely unsustainable. I feel like we haven't learned that at all. I feel like that's our goal, but I feel like we haven't like learned any type of sustainable system to function yet. You know what I mean? I feel like we have like just systems that like we kind of just like pull out of our ass sometimes to make it work. Like with our podcast, especially, like we just kind of like get that together and then like at least like the I don't know, it always turns out good though. Like I'm not saying it doesn't turn out good,
Mm-hmm.
but I just feel like our creative process is definitely unique.
Yeah.
And
It's something
I,
we need to work on for sure.
yeah,
It's
definitely need to work on it. And then I just want to like maybe share it to other people. Like there's always the problem of just like getting started is like the hardest part.
Mhm.
And I feel like we definitely still face that a lot. Um, but then I feel like even keeping going like is also another problem we kind of face sometimes. And I feel like we just kind of like burn ourselves out because we overwork ourselves on so many different things. It's not that like and we don't even do too much on all those things sometimes, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just so many different tasks.
Yeah, I mean, I think our process. I think some things like kind of have like a beautiful chaos to it. Like I mean, like the podcast. That's one of the things where like I feel like not having like too much of a system to go through is kind of what makes it more sporadic. More on the moment. Um, Other stuff. I mean, like that's the thing too, man. Like I mean, everything we do, like it's not like we're trained in that. I mean, most people, pursue projects where like they either went to school for or they've been doing it their entire lives. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, literally, like when Pluto started doing the music stuff, I literally just got Photoshop. I literally was doing the cover arts early on, while also learning how to use Photoshop. Like, so I mean, there's just different projects we take on that, we just kind of learn on the fly. So I mean, some stuff that like if you're teaching yourself how to even like get into it, how to dive into it, you're just like well, I mean, how can there be a system for something that I don't even know, how to use? Like, so I feel like as time goes on, like, I mean, with the music stuff, I mean, when we actually, I mean, we're kind of taking a layoff year, this year. I mean, not to say that we're not releasing music, but I mean, it's definitely going to be a more, calm, calm year for the music tip. At least for Pluto, we might have, we will have, like a CStar Bird project, maybe a Peanut project, maybe a collab project here or there, but not now a lot of Pluto. But like once we get that back up and running, I feel like we can, we've been doing it for like a year or so. We can probably get a good system going for that. And then, I mean, that's the thing. Like that's stuff that we've been working on for a long time. I mean, like even the clothes stuff. Like I don't understand. Like I don't think people understand like how the actual clothing stuff works. So like people ask us where are the new designs, where's this, where's that. It's just like it. If people actually like knew the process of making that stuff, like it's not as easy as people might think. It can be, but at some point you gotta kind of upgrade and evolve. So I mean that's the other thing, was just like some processes we just gotta learn as we go. I mean none of us are screen printers by trade. None of us are graphic designers by trade. None of us are music A&Rs by trade. None of us are whatever. So I mean we're literally all becoming, our resume is just stacking up as what our trades are, just from trying to pursue stuff that we just think is going to work. So I mean I don't think that it can actually we can actually have a system to most of these things yet. But I mean I think it goes pretty well.
Yeah. Well, 10 years is a long time, so hopefully we'll get uh somewhat closer. And also going back to what Nico said about us maybe not even being on the podcast anymore. I think like if we got it to a point where it is sustainable, just passing it off to somebody and then like moving on to like another project totally makes sense. There's like maybe we'll have like one appearance a couple months, but like hey ma,
Everybody welcome Mahmoud Cole to the
Mahmood Cole,
podcast,
the campaign manager.
the
Welcome.
campaign manager.
Hi, viewers and gentlemen. How are you guys feeling on this lovely Tuesday?
Doing well.
Yeah.
It's pretty outside. I can see the big shine behind me in the window.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I have the window out.
We were just talking about our chaotic process, and I feel like Mahmood would love to talk about how chaotic our process is.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to sound. I don't want to be.
I think actually, not to cut anybody off, I think this is the perfect person to have on this podcast, because this is more of like a diary, like kind of entry log podcast. And Mahmood is kind of like Mahmood's definitely more involved now, but he's also been around enough to see, kind of our process. So I mean, maybe just to give people an idea, we just lately went on a whole spiel about our process. So Mahmood, how about you, tell them, and honestly, don't sugarcoat anything.
Yeah, don't hold back.
Tell them, and also don't leak any unknown info. We do music, we do t-shirts, and we do the podcast, and that's it for now.
Gotcha.
All right. So with that being said, what is the process like from you being around us for almost 4 years?
Yeah, it's wow, 4 years. That's an incredibly long time. So for everyone watching, yeah, I'm Mahmood. I have been watching this come up for a while, and I just to kind of explain my involvement, I'd say just being friends with all of you. I understand like the personal relationship that we all have with Charmers, and I also understand like the business type of relationship that we've all developed. I think I've been there I've definitely been more involved for the last year, like Tyler said. What I've watched, as you know what, actually, I feel like in order to properly talk about it, I have to talk about everyone as individuals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've watched, kind of, I think this entire endeavor has been quite good for everyone professionally, personally, and kind of, you may especially personally, I've watched everyone kind of start out. I've going back to 4 years ago, high school, we just started out with just the shirts. I wasn't involved in this time. I was just friends with everyone. Ebenezer, I also don't know if were you involved back then?
No, not really.
Yeah, so it was just like a shirts thing, kind of music, not really, mainly shirts. Nico and Kuma here, they kind of drove that thing, selling shirts around the school, wearing shirts, kind of creating a culture around the shirts. There were a lot of background people who wore the shirts, gave it some hype, and that was a good time. I owned some shirts myself. As I mentioned, I was friends with them, and I liked the designs and the shirts, but I didn't like necessarily where it was going, because I felt like it was kind of, early on I saw potential, but there was kind of there were no levels to it. So, then everyone graduated college, we moved on, high school, we moved on to our own thing. Some went to college, some started working. But we've kept that Charmer way for a while. There was a good year where I just wasn't involved at all. And I think during this time is when we started music. So I saw that on like a background scale type of thing. We had new designs for our clothing, which the designs only continued to get more impressive. Um, the music was a little chaotic, but it was, as a collective, it was more unifying for like the group, because there's a business side and there's a like a personal side. So there was kind of unity amongst us, which was good because some of us were far away. Um, so that was good. Over the last year, though, I've noticed kind of a huge improvement in just terms of overall, I guess, collaborative efforts that we've done. This podcast has been quite successful, in my opinion, as far as the outreach, being able to get people. This is where Avenesia, kind of comes in. He's done a great job at reaching out to people. Nico's been a good job. Nico's done great at kind of, and Tyler as well, Kuma, sorry, at kind of leading this collective, because we've recruited so many different people who have different talents, who serve different purposes. Um, Kuma and Nico do an exceptional job at kind of at keeping everyone grounded, but also recognizing everyone's potential. I think giving them the encouragement to really be like, you can do this and we can do things. And over especially during COVID, we've everything's been virtual, which has helped, I think, a lot as far as getting people on the podcast. As far as not necessarily with clothing, because it's kind of hard to like sell, and like because we don't have a store or anything yet, so like reaching out to people has been more difficult. But I think as far as everything non-clothing, we've drove pretty hard. I mean, there was a period of time where Nico, I believe, did the website, or I don't know if I'm wrong. I think you did the website entirely by yourself. I don't know if there was.
Me and Amnesia did the website.
Okay,
Yeah.
Amnesia and Nico did the website, and now there's plans for changes. So be on the lookout for that if you're watching at home. Yeah, just really good stuff. Especially on a personal level. Like I've known these guys for so long, and kind of just to observe everyone's maturity. Amnesia's always been up there, but particularly Kuma and Nico, they've matured a lot, and I think this has helped them kind of get a goal on their life. Yeah, they've done good. They've done good. One more point I want to mention is kind of like the overall mission that we've kind of developed and we continue to develop. It kind of started out with just like wanting to help people within our own community, focusing specifically on Baltimore. That's where we're from. That's where, we have affinity. We've definitely kind of honed in on that more because we try to reach out to people within the area. We try to work with people within the area, especially for our podcast. And I think, just generally the sky's the limit. And to be completely transparent, didn't always have the most belief in these dudes, but once I kind of joined in and kind of saw the creative process, the way they collaborate, the way they have a really good balance as far as meeting objectives, but also like staying close as friends, I've noticed that these dudes are great. They're doing good stuff, and I support it. I'm here, and yeah, I feel like the next few years are going to be pretty crazy. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching.
Does that? I also think that's a pretty good, or part of what you said is kind of a weird thing about like our collective as well, is like we've kind of like they're kind of, I mean, I don't know how healthy this is, and maybe we'll let the viewers decide. I don't think like there is like necessarily like a difference between like our personal friendships and like the business. At this point we've kind of blended it all together, because like most of our relationship, not to say that, I mean, we do stuff all the time, that isn't CStar related. But majority of the time that we're talking, it's usually about, business stuff. Like it's usually about, the business side of things. Like we're not a type of friend group. It's like, oh, tonight let's all hop on whatever game and let's not forget about stuff. We might have a night where we'll, talk about whatever. But like, I think our friend group, our anybody who's with around us all have, a part in the business. And I mean, and that's the other part of us, like, delegating stuff to different people. Cause like even people that, didn't come in like that, we try to, invite them or inspire them to do this or do that.
And that's kind of weird though, because I can't even think of like what life would be like differently. And to be honest, I mean, Mahmoud's kind of like me, Mahmoud and Amnesia was talking, like Mahmoud's like separates, in his mind, he separates work life and personal life. And remember Amnesia, we were talking about like his internship, and he was like, he needs like a different like culture. And like to me, it's just kind of like, I just look at it as like one big thing. So I don't really separate all in my mind too much. I definitely used to. And I think I definitely used to back in high school. And I think that's why I can't really think more than like a year ahead anymore, because it's kind of just like there's so many things that play into the same thing. Like obviously, if you want to break it down, like, oh, this is where I want to be in my career, and then this is like where I want to be, like maybe in a relationship or whatever, or maybe I want to have my degree complete by this time. But to me, like all those things are like obviously they're connected with everybody's lives, but to me, like those things are no different than like all the other, like even like your career and like a personal relationship you have, like a girlfriend or wife or something like that. Like those things go hand in hand, and like that might sound weird, but it's like that relationship affects your mentality when you're working. Like you might have to think, oh, I work for like me to support me and my wife, or like me and like my children, or like whatever relationship you have with those people. And like that obviously that some people don't have the freedom to quit jobs and stuff like that, so that's how that affects that, you know what I mean, because they have people depending on them. And I think I'm gonna review it like that. I'm gonna review everything like that, you know what I mean. And another thing is, I feel like not having that disconnect, like, or like it's not having that disconnect, it's more like people put up a disconnect, you know what I mean. I think the disconnect is artificial, like the disconnect between like maybe like the business relationship with their friends and the personal relationship with their friends. I think people like put that up because at this end of the day, like we're just doing stuff we're passionate about with each other, and like we're trying to like monetize it to a certain extent. That's the only difference, because like Ted is still gonna make music, we're still gonna do a podcast, like I said. Like we don't make much money off any of this. Like we all still like clothes and fashion and shoes, so like that's all still gonna be a thing. Like it's just like we're trying to monetize it for everybody's mutual benefit, including like people around us, you know what I mean. So it's I've never been able to like disconnect it at all. I mean, like we just went to like the park or like the trail the other day, and like we didn't really talk business there. I mean when we got back, we are like, oh yeah, we should have did a podcast on that mountain. But I mean,
Yeah.
like other than that, it's like
Well, I saw that as a team building exercise.
yeah, I mean, even then, like right there, like to me, it's like we didn't really talk business, but I mean, like we're still with everybody who like usually who's been on the podcast, other than Jason hasn't been on one. But I mean, Jason's there when we had those talks. Like even people who aren't really involved like that are still there when we have those talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the reason for that, like you said, Nico, is because like these are all things that you're passionate about. Well, okay, we should all be passionate about everything we work on, period, in life. But these are like specifically with things like podcasting, like you're just talking, you know, music. Music kind of, but with clothing, you know, and it's just a lot of these things. I feel like it's easy to make a connection because you know the connection already like it already it's like it's all integrated in your life because it's so easy to do so. Like I feel like there's a niche sort of, but like the niche is affinity based. It's based on where we're from. You know, we do this because that's where we're from. We it's relevant to us because, you know, this is what we want to do because of, you know, our life experiences or whatever. So I feel like that's why, you know, it's very easy to do that. But, you know, I feel like as we are, you know, we continue to evolve in our life, it's not going to be the same way. I definitely don't think so.
Yeah. Some shit doesn't mesh. Like when I worked at the pharmacy, like obviously like there, I'll go there and like I would just like stare at the wall and just be upset because like life was miserable in that pharmacy, because like that didn't mesh with everything else. Like everything else meshes together. Like that one didn't mesh because like I have no passion to like I have no passion to go further in like healthcare or like anything like that. So like there, I'm not thinking about anything else, or no, I'm only thinking about everything else, and I'm not thinking about anything that has to do with that. So like your mind's always somewhere else. So you're not gonna enjoy what you're doing if your mind's not in the room with you. You know what I mean? Like your mind leaves your body when you work at those jobs you're not passionate about, and that's why people are like so upset and like do whatever, because it's just it's really a blessing to like have a job that you're passionate about. But I feel like it's attainable for everybody at the same time though. Like you just have to work. I mean, people who work in arts and like their main thing is arts. That's their main source of income. Like it's harder for them, and like they may not get successful until later in life. But like that struggling of the journey, like people still say they're not going to trade that for like some day job. You know what I mean? And like that's I really believe that. And this is also a good point. I've also learned last year, which I feel like is just motivated me a lot. Like just money just comes out of anywhere. Like just falls out of the sky. And some people probably like aren't gonna like be like, oh yeah, you're crazy. Like my parents told me I was crazy when I said it the other day. And it's just like when you see what's possible, when you see like these people that just get paid as like consultants, or like people who just get these brand deals from other things, and like they don't really do much, and like they build their own brand. Like I'm talking about that money falls out of the sky for people who actually put the time in and like do it for themselves, like, and build up their personal brand. You know what I mean? And like that's the goal for us right now. So I don't really ever doubt like I don't really have. I'm not really scared of the future like at all. And like none of us come from like any extraordinary means at all. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody in our group has like comes from money. Nobody from our group like it's just like set for life. Like, you know what I mean? We've all been working from young ages for the most part. You know what I mean? I've had a job since I was like 16. It's just, and like even with that mentality, like if like I used to be so frugal and stuff like that. And like I mean, some of that's going away, but like I've never like I don't know. I've just never been like scared of that because I always know like for one I'm confident in myself to be a hardworking person.
Mahmood, just to go back onto what you were saying about the affinity, uh, I was visualizing it as, you know, those like webs, like the charts that you draw where you have like circles and then you like write a topic and then you kind of like connect them, and then
Yeah.
it's like a network thing, right? And I was just thinking like, what are our like main like net like what is the big groups that connect everything? And first of all, Joe Rogan University. That's how the podcast got started. That's how like a lot of the conversations we have got started. Second, I would say is like the sneaker like streetwear culture thing. I'm not as connected to that, but it definitely like
What
connects with
podcast
everything else.
were we watching in high school? 'Cause I don't think I watched much Joe Rogan in high school.
Uh,
Was it still Joe
I
Rogan?
was watching Joe
What
Rogan
did
in
we
high
watch?
school.
What did we watch in high school that made us want to start a podcast?
It was Joe Rogan University.
It was probably Joe Rogan University.
I
I
was
don't
like,
know.
oh, I cannot imagine watching Joe
I don't
Rogan.
think. I mean, it's probably just the idea of doing a podcast was why we did a podcast. Like, I don't want to give Joe Rogan the credit of making us do the podcast. But
You
I
gotta
mean,
give the man the credit,
I
dude.
mean, he probably was like the main person. Like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan podcast. But I mean, there was plenty of other podcasts. I mean, like, I honestly can't remember like what stuff I was doing externally from like
I've
the high
never
school
had
stuff.
Joe Rogan experience on my Apple Podcasts. Like the only podcast I remember listening to in high school was like a philosophy podcast.
I'd have to go into my YouTube likes and see if I could find a podcast from 2018.
Or maybe like just the Joe Rogan clips online, like maybe senior year, I guess so.
Possibly.
Yeah, so basically it's Joe Rogan University, streetwear culture, and then the last one would be Baltimore. Like those are the three like connecting nodes. And that's all I had to say. So we could go back to talking about whatever we were talking about. Um,
Yeah, I mean those
oh,
streetwear nodes are just kind of like just like a, and even like that streetwear kind of just comes with like a like not like a rebel mentality, but kind of like a rebel mentality, kind of just like do it yourself type of thing. Like Young and Reckless, like Kuma's favorite brand, Young and Reckless, DJ Drama. It kind of just yeah.
and one thing I wanted to do, if you've gotten this far in the podcast, like hit me up and I'll send you something. I've been meaning to do that for so many episodes, but I think this is the one. And yeah, I mean, you guys want to stop now or got more things on your mind?
Any last thoughts?
Nah. I mean, I think this is a good little. This is more of a like a video diary kind of podcast. This is more of like just for the process, just give you guys an idea. More of our own supporters or even friends. Like people who care about us, people who just want to check in. I mean, hopefully that's the way we advertise this podcast. Is just the check in with Charmer way.
I mean, I feel like this is kind of like the thing. A lot of podcasters do this when they don't have guests, and like but I also, it's not like just because we didn't have a guest. I've always kind of wanted to do these type of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So like I hope there's more in the future. Like I definitely want to do more in the future. I mean, like we're like somewhat like not used to this type because we're usually just interviewing a guest. But I definitely want to do more of these in the future.
Yeah,
you know the problem with that is that like we'll do one of these, and then some time will pass, and then we'll do another one, and then it'll be the same thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was gonna say, like, just like we were talking about, we have to have our first quarter meeting. I think we can kind of do these quarterly, once every 3 months, because hopefully at that point, I mean, if nothing changed, and that's kind of the whole point of the podcast, we could be like, okay, like we're kind of stagnant this month, blah 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 blah. We can talk about what we could do better, blah 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 blah, or maybe not. We can just kind of talk about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, hopefully, I mean, it kind of motivates us too, because we have to sit here and do another one of these, in what, June or something like that. Yeah, so we're gonna do another one in June or the end of June, July. And if we don't have anything to talk about that's new, then we're gonna kind of look stupid. So I mean, that's kind of a good motivation to actually get shit done.
Yeah. The next one of these should be in person in the studio, and if it's not, I'm really mad at us.
Oh wow!
And we should we all should be wearing certain apparel, or at least I'll be wearing certain apparel. So we will see. We will
And
see.
lastly, just the importance of like not being afraid to look stupid. I think like if you want to do anything,